We have a lot to go over when it comes to the recent events with the Nintendo Switch 2, in addition to the big Xbox event, and some concerns that I have seen from a lot of people online. So we're going to tackle that, the major issues, and more when it comes to new announcements and stuff with Nintendo Switch 2. So this is going to be interesting. So let's go ahead and jump right into the first topic here. And that is the big concern that I'm seeing with a lot of Nintendo fans when it comes to the Nintendo Switch 2, and even just people talking about the announcements. We had the Summer Games Fest in addition to the Xbox Games Showcase, and there wasn't a ton of Nintendo Switch 2 announcements, and that got people very worried about the future prospects of third-party support on the Nintendo Switch 2. And I look at it from the outside looking in as someone who kind of covered this already before with the Nintendo Switch 1, and I can completely understand where some people are coming from. A lot of people don't remember or don't understand exactly the situation with the Nintendo Switch 2, so I wanted to go over what I think is happening at this point. So the first thing that I'll say just straight off the back is that a lot of these games that were announced at the Summer Games Fest or at the Xbox Game Show or anything, they're going to be coming to the Nintendo Switch 2. So a game, for example, we're going to talk about Persona 4 Revival in just a bit. I think a game like that is definitely coming. Some of this solo leveling or some of these other games are definitely going to come to the platform. Just like the Nintendo Switch 1, some of these games might not be day and date, just because dev kits and dev time. Nintendo Switch 1 came out kind of like in the middle of the generation. Not everybody had dev kits, resources, or time to get a good port of the game. Same thing's happening or will happen with the Nintendo Switch 2, kind of coming out in the middle slash endish of the generation. So devs did what they could in terms of the first initial batch. You got to get the system launched, and then as things go on, development ensues, resources are put towards Switch 2. You will see some ports of these games just like we saw with the Nintendo Switch 1, and the Switch 2 is actually set up a little bit better because it's a stronger device in comparison to what they're developing on right now compared to the Nintendo Switch 1 and what they are doing in the PS4 and the PS5 era, because it kind of crossed over from the 8th generation to the 9th generation. So I do think that in due time you will see that. I also think that Nintendo can be pretty controlling at times when it comes to specific or certain games. If you look at what happened with the Nintendo Switch 1, they were kind of like that. And I think that with the Nintendo Switch 2, they're going to want to have certain games announced at a Nintendo Direct because of the marketing type of blitz that Directs usually get. So I do feel that some of these games will be re-revealed or will be announced with release dates when it comes to specifically with the Nintendo Switch 2 at Directs. We could get two different Directs this year. There could be one for June or July. That's kind of what some of the rumors and I would say talk has been around. And then we'll probably get a fall Direct as well. So if I were you, I would not be worried about third-party games or anything right now at this point, because the system just launched and dev kits were not sent out to every single developer making every single game. Now, some devs did get that and were able to get a Nintendo Switch 2 version like Borderlands, for example, or Final Fantasy VII Remake, clearly Final Fantasy Tactics. There are some games, the Tony Hawk Pro Skater game. So there are some titles that were able to, but not everything, which we already kind of knew beforehand. And if you go off of what happened with the Nintendo Switch 1, it's probably going to be very similar to that situation, but will be a bit better when it comes to the quality of those ports and the frequency of ports once things get going. I would probably say around late 2026 or early 2027, you're going to start seeing way more games when it comes to multi-platform releases, as the Nintendo Switch 2 and the developers have had time to kind of catch up with development cycles. But a lot of the games that were announced today have been in development for multiple years. And once again, you're not going to have every single game day and day as the system launches in the middle of kind of everything at this point. But I understand the concern, but we did have the same thing with the Nintendo Switch 1, which I would also say, if you look at the contrast or counterpoint to that, there was a lot of games that didn't come over to the Nintendo Switch 1 when it comes to the platform and kind of everything, but people were wondering where were any of the third-party games at when it comes to AAA titles. Like, where was Resident Evil, where was Doom, where was, all that type of stuff. And a lot of those games ended up getting announced at Nintendo Directs and not at other events. So that's what I will say when it comes down to that. But before we get into anything else that I want to talk about, because there is an incredible JRPG that was announced, make sure you hit that subscribe button so you can get the latest information on the Nintendo Switch 2 and my thoughts on different various things. So hit that sub button and drop a comment below. What's your most anticipated Nintendo Switch 2 title or game coming out in 2025? All right, let's go ahead and jump into the next thing here, and that is the Persona 4 remake has been officially announced. One of the worst kept secrets out there, but it's going to be called Persona 4 Revival, and it's been announced for PS5, Xbox Series, and PC. Now, I do think, once again, just to kind of go on this, I do think that there will be a Nintendo Switch 2 version as well announced at a later time. And that was kind of the, I would say, rumor beforehand from someone that, yeah, they're going to announce it for PlayStation and Xbox PC, then Switch 2 will be later. And I'll put that up on screen for you guys. But let's go ahead and talk about this because there was no release date announced for this as well. So Atlus has announced Persona 4 Revival. This is a remake of Persona 4 Golden, and it will be available on Game Pass at launch. So that's also something to note. So this is what Atlus had to say about the remake. A remake of a modern classic RPG, Persona 4 Revival's debut trailer shows off the game's gorgeous updated visuals within the rural town of Inaba. Arriving as a transfer student, you'll experience an unforgettable year with new friends you meet along the way. However, rumors of bizarre murders and a mysterious TV channel quickly disrupt your peaceful everyday life. A door to another world opens. Awakening your Persona abilities, it is time to fight alongside your trusted allies to uncover the truth. This is a special thanks from Mr. Kazuhisa Wada, the director at P Studio. Hello, this is Wada from P Studio. We are very pleased to announce the release of Persona 4 Revival. We look forward to sharing more information in due time. Persona 4 has spawned numerous spin-offs, including TV anime, Persona 4 Arena, Persona 4 Arena Ultimax, and Persona 4 Dancing All Night, and is a special title that has been a part of Atlus for many years and holds a personal place in my heart. We are currently working on this project with all of our passion and love. We are confident that this will be a fresh and surprising product for both newcomers and longtime fans, and we look forward to sharing it with you all. Additionally, we are actively preparing for the future development of the Persona series as a studio. We are working hard to meet expectations of fans around the world, and our work is progressing well. Please stay tuned for more updates. We look forward to your continued support of the Persona series. So yeah, they did put in a little nugget there that they are working on the future big Persona 6 game and all of that, so future Persona titles. So yeah, we could probably expect something like that. I think that they're still trying to figure out the release date and timings for Persona 6. Obviously you have Persona 5 The Phantom X plus Persona 4 Revival, and there's probably going to be other Persona related projects and things that they're trying to slot in and fit into the schedule and all that. So it's a little bit of, I would say, a mess, but at the same time, like, it's still going to be pretty good. Now, will people actually like this though? Because we saw with Persona 3 Reload, people did not like that when it comes to some people, obviously some core fans, in terms of what it left out from previous versions of Persona 3. Will this be the same thing? Will it include everything? Is there going to be the DLC that people don't like when it comes to certain stuff, although that sold really well? So time will tell when it comes down to all that. I think that they're still trying to just figure out everything when it comes to this game and how they're going to do it. But we will see in the future in terms of a release date. I'm guessing it's going to launch sometime in 2026. If it's like Persona 3 Reload, it'll be early 2026, but we'll have to wait for Atlus to officially announce that. But what do you guys think about Persona 4 Revival? Let me know in the comment section below. And now we're going to move on to a very interesting new game that was actually announced from Game Freak. That's the developers of Pokemon. It's called Beast of Reincarnation, and it's due out for the PS5, Xbox Series, and PC. And once again, some were wondering what is going on with this game. Why isn't there a Switch 2 announcement when it comes down to it? And look, Game Freak can actually do good graphics, right? So that was also another thing. Or what is Game Freak holding back when it comes to the Pokemon games? So very interesting all around. But let's talk about this new game, Beast of Reincarnation. So this is from publisher Fictions and developer Game Freak, which I do want to also make note that Nintendo doesn't own Game Freak, they are allowed to do other games and they are allowed to work on other platforms. They've made games on other platforms before, and just because Game Freak does Pokemon with Nintendo as a publisher doesn't mean everything they do is going to be announced for Nintendo systems. We saw this with the Tembo game, the elephant game as well, which that wasn't announced for Nintendo systems when it came out. I think it was PS and Xbox. So yeah, just keep that in mind as well. This is not the first time that this has happened. So let's get into Beast of Reincarnation. It's a new action adventure game and it's coming out in 2026. It's also going to be available via Game Pass. So it says this here: in post-apocalyptic Japan, a land ruined by corruption and crawling with monstrous beasts, humanity's last hope may rest with Emma, an outcast cursed as a blighted one, and Ku, her loyal canine companion, survive a journey across ominous, ever-changing world where dangerous forests can erupt in the wasteland. As Emma and Ku push deeper into the unknown, their bond strengthens, and with it, strange powers bloom. Explore what it means to be human in Beast of Reincarnation, an expansive one-person, one-dog action RPG built around demanding technical combat. What awaits your journey's end? So this reminds me of Secret of Evermore, where you have an RPG with your doggo and some technical combat here and there. Or even Final Fantasy 16. That's also your doggo plus you going around. So yeah, man's best friend or woman's best friend at this point too. So yeah, it looks pretty cool. We'll see how it actually ends up playing. Some people were complaining about the frame rate in the game, but I think that the game, it's still not ready yet. Clearly, they already announced that it's coming out 2026, so that does give them more time to kind of shape up that frame rate and get everything going here. I do think eventually this game will probably come to, once again, Nintendo Switch 2 as well, but a lot of these games were in development for quite some time overall. But I do think games like this could also come to Nintendo Switch 2 as well when it comes down to it, or even be announced at a Nintendo Direct, although some of these announcements are clearly going to be for Game Pass, right? They got the Game Pass deal, so that's definitely good for them, but we will see going forward as well. So what do you guys think about Beast of Reincarnation? Let me know in the comment section below. But next up, we're going to get into the next Tales of Remaster project. We've got an announcement coming this summer. So the next entry in the Tales of Remaster project series will be announced this summer. Bandai Namco has announced the latest remaster title, Tales of Grace's F Remastered, launched for the PlayStation 5, Xbox Series, PlayStation 4, Xbox One, Switch, and PC via Steam on January 17th. Tales of series producer Yusuke Tomizawa has previously said that Bandai Namco intends to provide remastered Tales of titles fairly consistently and intends to continue doing so as much as possible, which is definitely good because there are a number of games stuck on old hardware. I would like to also see a Nintendo Switch 2 upgrade for the Switch 1 version of Tales of Grace's F Remaster, because that game runs at 30 frames per second on the Nintendo Switch 1, but it runs at 60 frames per second on every other platform. So a Switch 2 upgrade, hopefully a free upgrade, would be pretty good if they are able to get that out. And it would just be something to where you can buy the Switch 1 version, then of course get that upgrade on the Nintendo Switch 2, because Tales of Grace's F is actually a pretty good game. Tales of Vesperia, apparently through backwards compatibility on the Nintendo Switch 2, runs better as well. So hopefully we see this new project when it comes to the next Tales of Remaster very soon here. So what do you guys think about the Tales of Remastered projects? What's your favorite Tales of game? Let me know in the comment section below. But now we're going to move on to the final topic here, and that's discussing the $80 game. It's back, bigger than ever. Microsoft has announced their first one officially, at least, and that is The Outer Worlds 2. Stealth put this up on Twitter, saying The Outer Worlds 2 is $79.99. I wonder if the reaction will be the same as it was with Mario Kart World, LOL. And I will tell you, no, it won't be the same. And the reason why it won't be the same is because a lot of gamers actually blame and assign blame to something else whenever something happens. So the blame for everything wrong when it comes to the games are going to be put on Nintendo's case for many of these games. Despite Nintendo having nothing to do, The Outer Worlds being $80, I said this on Twitter, probably not in response to what Stealth said, People already blamed Nintendo for Microsoft doing it despite it having nothing to do with them. MS made the call in business meetings to raise the price to $80 for games well before the Switch 2 was revealed. They just didn't make the announcement till after. They had a press release, they had something ready to go, they were planning on raising the price. This is according to Microsoft. After careful consideration, that is a quote, market conditions and the rising cost of development, we've decided to raise the price of games to $80 in addition to raising the price of accessories and of the system itself. It was a package deal. The tariffs that are being levied on China right now are drastically increasing the amount it takes to ship certain products like game devices over to the US. Microsoft made that call because of what's happening with the market conditions and because of the rising cost of development. If you noticed in their Microsoft presentation, everything is Play Anywhere Xbox. A lot of stuff is Game Pass. They have the new ROG Ally system. These are all significant investments that are going to take more money in order to fund, or Microsoft is going to be laying off more people like they've done in the Xbox division, where thousands at this point have been laid off within Microsoft Gaming and Xbox and all that. So yeah, that's the reason why they raised it. They want to make more off of the sale when they can't get the people to buy it in Game Pass. They want to make more off of that sale, and obviously those China tariffs that are levied right now are causing their consoles to balloon in price. So that's what's happening. It's not based off of one goofy Nintendo kart racer that they completely upended their business plan when it comes to how much they're going to charge for games and all of that. So that's my analysis, and that's also based off of what Microsoft has said. They were not looking at Nintendo and Mario Kart. They were looking at what they needed to do. But that's simply my opinion, and I know a lot of you guys will probably disagree, as I've already had disagreements with people on Twitter as well. So put what you think is the issue in the comment section. But that's going to wrap it up for this video here, guys. Thank you so much for watching. I do appreciate it. Please make sure you hit that like button, subscribe if you're someone new, click that notification bell, and check out all my other Nintendo Switch 2 content and more right here on screen. Thanks for watching, and we'll catch you guys for the next one. Peace.